Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Midfield Pivot. It's Monday, so it's time for the weekend takeaways. Without further ado, let's get right into it. The weekend takeaways, right? Let's get started. First takeaway for the weekend that I have is that fans do not deserve to be back in the stadiums. Bear with. During the COVID pandemic, when there were no fans attending stadiums, it was clear to everybody just how much fans were missed. The atmosphere that it generated, the buzz that they created, all of that was missing from the games, and we really needed it back. We needed to bring the fans back into the stadium as quick as possible in order to rekindle that atmosphere. Well, that's what we thought anyway, until I saw this weekend's game between Nice and Marseille. Despicable scenes, despicable scenes. It might not be a fan issue, it might be a league issue that the league needs to have a look into, but also fans need to take some accountability for this. Throughout the game, the Nice fans, who was the home team, were throwing water bottles at the Marseille players every time they went to take a corner kick or even a throw in. They would just get pelted with water bottles. It was really disheartening to see that. And you would hope that maybe somebody would step in and put an end to it. However, no one was doing that. It seemed that it was just being allowed to carry on unabated. Obviously, whenever there's a situation like that, they will come to a point where it gets or crosses the line. And that point had to be when Dimitri Payet went to take a corner kick. The usual, though, for the day, the usual pelting of the player with the water bottles continued to the point where Payet got struck by a bottle on his back. He then obviously proceeded to roll around on the floor for a bit and noticed that, you know what, the officials aren't really doing anything about this. So he decides to pick up the bottle and throw it back into the crowd. Oof. All hell broke loose when they did that. Fans started storming the field. There was altercation between the Marseille players and the security of the stadium and the fans themselves. Some of the players got physically injured even. Well, Gunduzi and them. They put pictures up on the social media of the injuries they suffered. Now, to say that this could have been avoided is an understatement. From the onset, from the beginning, when fans began to throw these objects, the officials should have stepped in and put an end to it. They should have ejected those fans who were throwing those bottles, regardless that they ultras, regardless that it's their first home game since COVID, since the COVID pandemic or lockdowns, I guess, ended in that country. They should have put an end to that sort of behavior early on in the beginning. However, they didn't. And we saw the results of what happens when you don't do anything about it. It's the same sort of thing that happens regarding racism in some of these leagues where unless a player gets racially abused the whole game, the entire game racially abused. The second he reacts, then all of a sudden the officials frown upon that. Instead of now tackling the real issue, which are the fans. So my takeaway from this is that teams like Nice and their fans need to be punished. They need to get a total complete stadium ban for a number of games, not just one, a number of games. Since the fans don't know how to behave, they need to have that privilege of watching live football taken away from them. And maybe that will be a step towards the league showing that we will punish such behavior. We will punish unruliness. We will punish hooliganism. We will punish even racist chants. If they can start hurting these teams, hurting these fans who it hurts the most by them not being able to go to the same stadium and watch their team for a number of games. Maybe that is how we can sort out this whole mess that's happening right now in our football, where we have a few rogue individuals who just take it upon themselves to decide that this is their game and that certain people are not worthy of respect. It's a no-go for me, and I really do think that some fans do not deserve to watch games. One of my big takeaways from this weekend has to be from the Arsenal Chelsea game, and it is this: give Romelu Lukaku the golden boot already. When Romelu Lukaku left the EPL in 2019, many said he was finished. He seemed overweight and just couldn't crack it in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Man United team. The coach preferred Rashford up front and Big Rome was sold without any afterthought or hesitation. Written off, discarded, and just given to Interside, which really some wrote off as well. 2 years and a Scudetto later, Romelu is back. A leaner, fitter, much more accomplished version from the one that left. A deadly finisher and arguably the best hold-up striker in the world right now. He is back to terrorize EPL defenses like nobody since prime Drogba. Fitting that he's back at Chelsea then, isn't it? He bullied the helpless Arsenal defense all afternoon. Both centre backs were lucky to finish the game without a red. Such was that the dominance of Lukaku and their inability to mark him without resorting to fouling him. They both got booked, mind you. Suffice to say, his one goal on debut, and also, fun fact, he scored on every single one of his debuts at every single team he's been at. So this one goal on Sunday is just a precursor to the tons more that Rome is gonna score in the EPL. I don't see any defense coping with him, so they might as well just give him the golden boot already. My next takeaway is this: the DStv Premier Soccer League is going to be such a ball. This weekend was match day 1 of the PSL. What a ball it was! Only 2 of the 8 games had more than 2 goals in them. Most of the games lacked entertainment and were mostly boring affairs where teams huffed and puffed and lacked any quality. The PSL markets itself as a first fast-paced, entertaining league, but fails to deliver on this promise. The teams will have to seriously improve their offering, or the league will struggle to lure fans back to the stadium whenever it is that these lockdowns end and we're allowed back to the stadium. And they will continue to lose viewers to the European leagues, which are much more entertaining, have much more higher quality, and are just a better watch. I mean, some of the games we saw this weekend, I mean, the Kaiser Cheese game, guys, that was like, oh, wielding. You know when you say something is wielding? Those who anyone was wielding, it hurt my eyes. But anyway, yeah, that's my takeaway from this from about the PSL. It's gonna be a long season for us PSL fans. So, this takeaway, this goes out to my Arsenal buddies. You know, I got nothing but love for y'all. But anyway, my takeaway is this: Arsenal, it's gonna get much worse before it gets any better. When the EPL fixture list was released, the Gunners must have groaned. They would have banked on 3 points from their first fixture against Brentford, maybe one from Chelsea, and an easy win against West Brom in the EFL Cup coming up on Wednesday, and maybe a point from the upcoming City game. However, having lost to Brentford, been dominated by Lukaku and Chelsea, that non-consequential West Brom game on Wednesday has now become crucial. For Mikel Arteta, this might be his most important game of his career. In fact, every game coming up till he wins a whole run of them is going to be the most important game of his career. Arsenal haven't scored a single goal as yet and haven't played well either. They still should have enough to beat West Brom though. However, West Brom have played 4 games, and in those 4 games have scored a total of 10 goals. And the gap in quality isn't that great between them and the Gunners. In fact, some would say that West Brom is actually playing much better football than Arsenal is. It is far from a foregone conclusion for Arteta's boys on Wednesday. My take: Arsenal will lose Wednesday and lose against City on Saturday. The Val mood will only get worse, and should they lose both these games, Arteta will not make it back from the international break. So yeah, it's gonna get worse, guys, before it gets any better. Yo, now we come to my favorite part of the weekend takeaways: Team of the Week. And first up, we have Ellison. Again, not really much happened there except for him pulling off 2 really good saves to deny McNeil and Wood, and one excellent save late in the game to deny Barnes and keep his clean sheets. Not much that he could have done wrong really against that team, but he does get the goalkeeper of the week. And also a special mention to Leno from Arsenal for his amazing save to deny Romelu a second. That if that had been a clean sheet game for him, he might have been the goalkeeper of the week. Now moving on, Reece James, what a great game by him on Sunday. Fantastic throughout the game, fantastic on that right hand side. Kills Saka plus Tini both all game long, practically unplayable. An assist and a goal. It's just he was unplayable. Maybe the best right back of this week. In the middle, we have Rushni Direk. Or was it Direk? Or was it Direk? I don't know. Anyway, he was excellent against a dangerous Amazulu side and even made a last-ditch on-the-line goal-saving interception that would have resulted in Amazulu equalizing. That was a fantastic play by him, and I really do think he deserves a spot in this team of the week. Next up, Trent. Look, it's easy to say you can't have both Trent and James in there, but you know what? there's no looking past them. Trent as well had a fantastic game against Norwich. Came through with an assist. Was the Trent of old, and for that he deserves a spot in his team. Also next to Trent, we have Azpilicueta, another player who just showed how maybe it's a sign of just how in effect or how good Chelsea is. He didn't sweat. There was no sweat from on the man's shirt the whole game against Arsenal. Calm, composed, did his job, did it very well, deserves a spot in his team. Last but not least, we have Kostas Tsimikas or Tsimikas. Tsimikas. Kostas Tsimikas. Even though this might be his last game starting, considering that Robinson might be back from next week, what a way to try and put some thoughts in Klopp's head about starting for the next game. Had a fantastic game against Norwich, also did an assist, really showing that Liverpool have that depth on the left hand side, which they didn't have before. But now with him there, Robinson has competition for his place. Moving on now, the only man to survive from last week has still been this week's team of the week, Jorginho. You know, the more I'm watching this man, the more in love I'm falling with him. He's really reminding me of Prime Pirlo. It's uncanny. He just plays so well. His control of that game, it's like a metronome. The ball goes through him all the time, and it's just so easy for him. It's men whenever he's playing. It's always just men against boys. He's unstoppable in that midfield. Jorginho. Partnering Jorginho in that midfield is gonna be, I guess, the forgotten man. Jose's favorite son, if you can say that from his time in Spurs. Dele Ali. Dele Ali had a great game over the weekend. Not really Dele Ali of old. I won't say it's at that level yet, but you can see that it's working towards becoming that player, the player that was just tearing up defenses, was always a problem to mark. And we look forward to seeing how he progresses. So he obviously also gets a place in team of the week, and he scored a great goal. So yeah, Dele Ali. Now moving on to the forwards. We'll start with the one from Serie A, Lorenzo Insigne, that little man. Look, he didn't really do anything more than you know what he does. Just consistency by him. The one thing that I liked that he did this weekend was that he had a chance to score it. He had a penalty. He took a penalty in the beginning of the game and he missed it. And then when the second one came along near the end of the game, he didn't now shirk away from that responsibility. He still stepped up to the penalty and scored. And that's the kind of character you want. Couple that with his movements, with his incisiveness, with his skill against the defense, he's a no-brainer for my team of the week, Lorenzo Insigne. Now, this selection also surprised me myself, considering where he was playing. When I saw his name, I assumed that he'll be up front for City, but when as the game started, you saw that he's lined up on the right there. And you know what? He really did well. He did well on the right hand side. The cross he put in for that first goal, it was very right wingish. So maybe the solution to Pep's problem regarding Jesus is to play from the right, because really this has to be probably his best game in a City shirt. So yeah, Jesus. Now we come to the obvious one. There could be no other name we could have put up front as a striker for this week's team of the week. It had to be Big Red or Big Blue now. Big Blue, Romelu Lukaku, bossed that Arsenal defense, dominated that game, was all over the place, showed his quality. Romelu Lukaku, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, he's our star player of the week. And of course, coach of the week has to go to Thomas Tuchel. Tactical masterclass. It just makes it look so easy. So yeah, that's the team of the week, guys. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know your comments. Let me know who you guys think should be in it. So yeah, guys. Last but not least, we come to the surprise results of the weekend. For me, it has to be the Juventus result. Start off so well and then somehow manage to draw that game. Not looking good, guys. For a team that has aspirations of regaining the Scudetto, got to a terrible start. Also, Ronaldo from the bench, There's something happening there. There's rumors of him trying to get a transfer or not trying to get a transfer. Either way, Juventus not looking good at all. And I did not expect them to not win that game on the weekend. So yeah, that's my surprise result of the weekend. So anyway, guys, we've come to the end of the weekend takeaways. Once again, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for liking the videos. Please share this about. Let's get the word out there. Get your boy some love. Anyway, again, thank you for your support. Thank you for watching the Midfield Pivot. You can find us on social medias, on Twitter and on Facebook. The addresses should be on the screen soon. You can find my Twitter handle as well. And yeah, holla at your boy. Peace.